don't know where, I'm going to have just a few minutes. I don't know, there's so much to just, I didn't expect you're going to be, this is going to be a topic, it's going to be smile, but it's just, this is what I said in school just this last week. This is one of the favorite topics I address the kids in school. And they all know that I called it SPY, SPY. When my kids were young, they knew that SPY stands for Sever Panim Yafot. As we heard beautifully, the Mishnah Pirkei Avot says, that we are obligated to greet everybody with a smile. It's an obligation. It's halachic. More than that, the Gemara says, no, this is in English. I'm sorry. Okay, so the Gemara says, I think it was also said in the fly. Anyway, the Gemara says there's a pasuk in the prophets in Navi that says, "Take out of your house what you stole from poor people." So the Gemara asks, poor people, a homeless person, he doesn't have anything that you could steal from him. What does it mean? So the Gemara answers that you didn't smile to him. So the Gemara says, we all owe each other a smile. If you don't smile to somebody, you stole from him. And I apologize for all the times and that I have a sour face, walking around like Burj Al-Arab. I have a lot of pressures. No, but you should know. Chovot HaLevavot says that a chassid should bury his problems in his heart and put a smile on his face. We all have challenges. There's nobody out there that doesn't have a challenge. I mean, I say it always from Rav Dessler. The past is memories, the future is illusions. In Hebrew it's ha'avar, it's zichronot, memories, the past. The future is illusions, dimyonot. What is the present? Nisyonot. The present is nisyonot. In other words, life, the present, is ordeals and challenges. Chalesh hay zendegi in Persian, right? Everybody has it. Everybody has it. If a person, only dead people don't have challenges. And whoever comes to coming to Tehillim classes, David HaMelech constantly talks about life as an ocean, and an ocean, it's impossible that it doesn't have waves. See, the point is, so the Chovot HaLevavot says, you should bury your challenges, your problems in your heart, but you need to have a smile on your face. This is what it says. Otherwise, you're stealing. If you don't, and that's gezelat ani. Well, the Gemara asks, ani, a homeless person, what does he have or she have that you could steal from him? The smile. And I think we just this is something it takes a lot of chinuch. And I just told the kids, this is one of my, I tell them, look, whenever I see you, if you don't have a smile, you're spy is sever panim yafot. This is an obligation. If you don't do that, it's stealing. Literally, halakha considers that gezelat ha'ani. And as Ziba Khanam said beautifully, if a person would really dig deep enough, there is so much to be thankful for. I just, I told a crowd that I am one of the only rabbis. Baruch Hashem, we have so many beautiful rabbis in town, but you see, I went to college and then went to the yeshiva. Right? They all went straight to yeshiva. So when I was in Hebrew U, One of my favorite, I mean, Baruch Hashem, coming from a religious family, I was always from a Shabbat. But I didn't come to America the way you see me now, with black hat, none of that. I came here, long hair, jeans, whatever. And when I came in college, I had one of, there was Tzvika Pick, was an Israeli rock star. He was one of my favorites. He was very, there's a song, Shema Yisrael, that's him. He's not religious at all, but So I just saw an Israeli clip that, he was just a few months ago, was traveling from Israel to give a concert in Europe. And all of a sudden, the El Al flight, the stewardesses look at him and see something is strange. He had an aneurysm on the flight. Sikte magzi, right? And he, they had emergency landing, and it was a couple of months in hospitals. So they were interviewing, and I couldn't believe that this is Tzvika Pik. He could hardly speak. And he says, he was like, and he says, he's all broken, and he says, I had to learn the language from ground zero, from nothing. And every word that I want to say, that's what he says. Every word that I want to say, it's a struggle till I remember the word and it comes to my mouth. And that's why he disappeared from public, from everything. I heard this, and then I had to daven mincha, and I realized Arizal says the most important verse in Tefillah is Hashem sfatai tiftach ufi yagid teilatecha. He says the fact that we could open our mouth and to praise Hashem, this is the biggest miracle. Hashem, and we take it for granted. We take it for granted that that we are able. Like you want to, when it says Hakadosh Baruch, when Hashem created Adam, it says he took his body from dirt, and then Vayipach, Hashem blew in him the neshama. The Torah says. So Unkelus translates ruach memalela, the power of speech. That shows that we have a neshama, because there's a neshama to make this miracle of speech, to make this miracle happen. It's such a complicated thing. We don't realize. We speak so fast, so many words, right? Every word that we want to say, it's a combination of the brain has to think of it and to command thousands and some say millions of muscles and nerves, etc., for us to be able to utter one word. Right? If you're looking for reasons to have appreciation, to put a smile on our face, one of them is appreciation of this gift of speech. And every week now we do a little bit Lashon Hara. When a person, one of the Kabbalistic Sfarim says, when a person says Lashon Hara, when we use this beautiful gift of HaKadosh Baruch to be able to talk, in Sefer HaEchalot it says, Mashal, imagine somebody comes begging to a king. Somebody comes begging to a king. Give me something, I cannot feed my family. Could you give me some help to feed my family? So the king gives him a nice gift. Go feed your family. And this person, instead of going with that gift to buy food for his family, he goes and he buys a hammer, and he comes and bangs the king on his head. Could you imagine such an ingratitude? So the Sefer HaEchalot says, when a person says Lashon Hara, that's what he does. Hashem gives you a beautiful gift, the biggest miracle. Ask Tzvika Pik. The biggest miracle, to be able to talk. And you take that power, instead of taking that and creating for yourself olam haba, right? By using the power of speech properly, by learning Torah, saying Tehillim, complimenting people, giving people nechama, uplifting people. You say Lashon Hara with that, it's exactly like, you take the king's gift and you hit him on the head. That's what it says. And unfortunately, we all do that. Right? But you see, if we are looking for reasons to put a smile on our face, there's so much to have gratitude and appreciation. One of them is the power of speech. Anyway, but as we heard beautifully, you have to realize, sever panim yafot spy, it's an obligation. Otherwise, you see, our face is not for us, it's for others. One of the big tzaddikim says, if the face was for ours, we should constantly walk with the mirror. It's not for us. We owe other people, right, smile. And I told the kids the story in Masechet Ta'anit. In Masechet Ta'anit, it says that Eliyahu HaNavi, Eliyahu HaNavi exists. Eliyahu HaNavi never died. And I told you, we have Eliyahu HaNavi appears all over. Not only when there's a Brit Milah, right, he comes. Eliyahu HaNavi, we have a tradition in our family that he appeared to my grandfather. I had a grandfather in Kerman. His name was Baba Nuriel. And when he was 45 years old or even younger, he had 11 kids, and my grandmother died. It was a plague, right? I never saw any grandmothers. Both of them died in that plague, right? So my grandfather was 45 years old. And his youngest was 2 years old. We call him Dai Habib. He lives in Germany. I was just, Baruch Hashem, went for the wedding of his son. Anyway, so he was crying, and doctor, whatever, nothing was helping. And he was crying. And all of a sudden, an old person with a long beard came to the house. That's a tradition in our family. And he said, Nuriel, what's the problem? So he said, you see, I don't know, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. My baby is dying. There's nobody, I've tried everything. I don't know what to do. So this old person, right, told him, why don't you take this herb and that herb, this and that, he's going to be fine. And my grandfather did it. And Baruch Hashem, my uncle is alive and kicking. They looked all over, and nobody knew who is this old man. I'm sure a lot of you have in your families the same tradition. So Eliyahu HaNavi doesn't come down just for Brit Milah. He comes. So the Gemara says in Masechet Ta'anit, once in the Shuk Shel Tveria, right, Tveria where Kinneret is, the Shuk is still there. So the Gemara says, recently Netanyahu had his, whatever his anniversary there. It was all over the news. They closed the whole place. So the Gemara says in Masechet Ta'anit that once somebody saw Eliyahu HaNavi in that market. So he ran to him.
I saw him.
You saw Eliyahu HaNavi?
Yes.
Okay, afterwards. Fine. So he asked Eliyahu HaNavi. Tell me, who has the highest Olam Haba? There was very crowded in the market. Who has the highest Olam Haba? So Eliyahu HaNavi tells this Rav, you see those two brothers? Those two brothers have the highest place in Olam Haba. This guy goes and chases these two brothers. And he says, tell me, what mitzvah do you have in your hand? He said, no, we are regular, Shomer Shabbat, Kashrut, Daven, Tefillin. No. He says, there must be something that everybody does. You must have something that Eliyahu HaNavi told me that you have the highest place in Olam Haba. He said, we can't think of anything. The only thing they said, in the morning when we come to work, we look around and we see people that are down faces, they're upset. We go and we cheer them up. He says, that must be it. That must be it. To put that face, smile on people's faces, right? It's, and Rabbi Orlovsky probably is one of those people that has, Rabbi Orlovsky has a beautiful sense of humor, but it's not just humor, he has content also. And to put smile, I'm not surprised that he saved somebody's life, right? I always tell the kids in school, there is a story about Rabbi Brizak. Rabbi Brizak brings in his book that either himself or somebody was in Yerushalayim, his cell phone had broken, and he was going to go to Givat Shaul over there. In Israel, we have all the places where they fix the cell phones. Apparently, he says, I got off the bus, and I was in a rush, and then I saw somebody, in the station that I know, and I told him, Ma nishma, as I was passing, just Ma nishma, what's up? But then I realized this guy looked very broken. So he said, again, went back to him and said, Makara, I started talking to him. I sat down a few minutes and I spoke to him and I cheered him up, etc., etc. And then I went. He says, a few weeks later, he sent me a letter. He said, that day I was going to commit suicide. He said, that day when you met me in the bus stop in Givat Shaul, I had so much pressure from all directions. I had made up my mind. Just when you came and you paid attention to me, you came and the other day just spoke to me this and that, I changed my mind. Right? These are true stories. So let's please not to be ganavim, not to be doz dawash. When you don't smile to somebody, dozie. That's what the Torah says. We owe each other that smile. Sever panim yafot, spy. And that brings us to a short message about Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. It's also about light, hope, and smiling. Yerushalayim now, everybody's in Eretz Israel, Meron, Chabaros, right? So you see, you have to realize, I said this morning in the shul, it says Yaakov Avinu, he created, when he had the encounter with Lavan, so he put up a Gal-Ed. Gal-Ed. Gal-Ed, the Kedushas Halevi says, Gal-Ed stands for Lag. Gal-Ed is Lag Ba'omer, Lag, and then Ed. So he says from Kabbalistic sources that from Pesach till Lag Ba'omer, we have certain lights that HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the Nisim, that He made for us. From Lag Ba'omer and on, from tomorrow, in Eretz Yisrael it's already tonight, by us it's tomorrow, we are going to have a new light. This is the Gal, the Lag, Ed. Ed in Hebrew has another meaning, which is Adi. It's like jewelry that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives us a new gift, a new light. So the Kedushat HaLevi says that tomorrow, Lag BaOmer, there is a transformation of lights, a new light, and that's one of the reasons that they light the medurot in Meron. It's a new light that starts, that carries us towards Shavuot, which is Matan Torah. As we heard, right, Lag BaOmer is the day of Ptira of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. Usually, a day that somebody passes on, it's not a day of joy. But Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai passed on Lag BaOmer, and he told everybody that they should light the medurot, because his passing was with a lot of fire and light. We know Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, we owe Jewish continuity to Rabbi Akiva and Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. As we heard, Rabbi Akiva had 24,000 students that they perished from, according to our tradition, from Pesach till today, till Lag BaOmer. Right? Why? Because Shelo Nahagu, as we heard, Shelo Nahagu Kavod Ze Boze. For HaKadosh Baruch Hu, for Hashem, the relationship between us, it's more important than the relationship that we have with Him. Right? That's why, right? In the Torah we have Chamisha Chomshei Torah. The first parsha in Torah, the first Sefer, Bereshit, has only 3 mitzvot out of 613. Bereshit has only 3 mitzvot out of 613. What does Bereshit have? Bereshit teaches you how we should act with each other. We learn from Abraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov to be Gemilut Chasadim, Bikur Cholim, on and on, Shalom Bayit. Everything is in Bereshit. Hashem says, first, you learn how to act with each other, then I'm going to give you the rest of the Torah. Right? And that's why Hashem punished the Talmidei Rabbi Akiva so severely. So, now, the whole thing of Lag BaOmer, it's a message of hope. Rabbi Akiva, after he lost 24,000 students, he didn't give up. He started anew. He went, the Gemara says, he went to the Darom, Rabbi Be'er Sheva, he went to the southern part of Israel. He picked 5 Talmidim, 5 students, and we have the Jewish continuity from these 5 students. He says before that it was Shumama. It was like a desert. Right? One of these was Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. So now, I want to just share with you an unbelievable message that I think pertains to all of us, especially in this generation. You see, the Gemara tells us that how did Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai become so great? The Gemara says that Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai and his son, originally for 12 years, and then another year, they were isolated in a cave. Right? This cave, people that came with me on the tour that went to Israel, is in Pekin. Right? That Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, because he had spoken against the regime whatever, he had to run away, they were after him. So he went with his son, and they were isolated in a cave for 12 years. By the way, if you are interested in Gilgul stories, I just learned this year that Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai was the Gilgul of Shimon, the son of Yaakov Avinu. One of the tribes, Shimon, that's why his name was Shimon. And why did he come the Gilgul? Because Shimon wanted to kill Yosef, and because of him, Yosef went to Mitzrayim and was in jail for 12 years. That's why Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai had to be in jail 12 years. But you see, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai always, Gilgul is for Tikkun. Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai would not have become Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai if not, he would have been isolated away from this world for 12 years. For 12 years, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai and his son, they were totally didn't have to do anything with the outside world. Nothing. HaKadosh Baruch Hu made a miracle. There was a carob tree, and and that carob tree is still there. When we went to Pekin, if you go, to Israel, when you go to the Galil, go there to Pekin. There has been Jewish presence in Israel non-stop, right? In Pekin, there's a small village there. I don't know if she's still alive. Gveret Zaytuni. When we went there, she opened the shul for us, and we had a minyan there, right? There has been Jewish presence in Israel non-stop, especially here in Kfar Pekin. So for 12 years originally, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai and his son, they were in this cave. Then a message came that it's safe to come out. Why did it have to be like that? Why did they have to be isolated for 12 years? Because we have to realize, Rabbi Shimon, the influences outside would not have let Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai to reach that level of Kedusha. After they came out, they couldn't believe that people are just going about their lives as if there is no Olam Haba, and that's it. So people are involved in Gashmiyut and mundane things. Wherever they would look, they would start a fire. That's what it says. And I think the message that Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai has for us, it's exactly that. We have to realize we live in a generation that if we do not isolate ourselves and our kids in that kind of cave, there is not going to be Jewish continuity. And what I'm talking about is the dangers that technology represents, especially for our kids. You see, somebody who is already, that's one of the reasons that we are working very hard on this. In our school in Tashwar, kids are not allowed to have access, or to have smartphones, or to have access to it. And also we encourage our graduates to go only to high schools that have the same policy. You don't realize how destructive this technology is. How little kids. I mean, somebody, Rabbi Armanal showed me some kind of, it was a cartoon for little kids, 4 or 5 years old. That the kids go there, and then all of a sudden, a monster comes up and instructs them to go to kill themselves. And they're kids that committed suicide, right? From the access that they had to internet, right? This is a real thing. You have to realize outside there, it's a jungle. It's a jungle much more dangerous than the environment that the Shon Bar Yochai lived in. I went with my wife to the Beverly's library, and I see over there they're advertising a new book for kids. And what's the theme of the book? There are all kinds of families. Some classic, they don't even call it classic. There is a daddy and mommy. There are other families that there are 2 daddies or 2 mommies. And now with all these things, with transgenders and this and that, my wife told me that, I think it's serious also when a baby is born, so they put the gender male, female, other, or and they are out there to brainwash our kids from youth. My wife tells me, she's a therapist. She said, therapists, this is a law in California and some other states. If a little kid, right, a little boy wants to play with dolls or wear skirts, this and that, parents cannot talk him or her out of it. You're supposed to encourage that, maybe give him hormones to do transgender. If you don't do that, the therapist is a mandated reporter. This is what's happening out there. And with all due respect, you have to realize, right? You see, modern Orthodox schools, they say, okay, so there is technology. You cannot ignore that. We have to give the technology to the kids, and we'll show them how to maneuver with that, right? And this is a grave mistake. This is a grave mistake. You have to realize. You see, now in Israel, there's a whole movement of secular parents that they are making a campaign that kids should not have access to internet. Kids should not have access to smartphone, etc., etc. This is a real danger. This is something that it just goes against the fabric of family life, everything else. You have to realize in Judaism, the family unit is everything. Bereshit is Bait Rosh. A family, mother, father, kids, this is the holiest unit. And out there, the campaign is against that. And they do it very, very professionally, very, very sophisticated. And one of the biggest accesses is the technology. It's so, parents, a lot of them, they cannot, fathers work, etc., etc. They cannot work without internet. It's understood, right? But, over there also you need to have filters. I mean, I know families that got ruined through all these things, right? When the fathers or mothers also recently have heard that, how this access to all the, these sites on internet is ruining families. And more than anybody, the kids are at danger. Kids are at risk. Kids are at danger. You have to realize, I'm going to conclude with this. In Judaism, beginnings are everything. Beginnings of everything are everything. When when it says in Mishlei, Hechacham einav berosho, that a smart person, his eyes are on his head. Rabbi Chaim Vital says, what is Shlomo HaMelech? What is it telling us? Everybody's eyes are in his head. What is it? Hechacham einav berosho. Rabbi Chaim Vital says, Hechacham, a smart person, he knows that Reshit is everything. Beginnings are everything. That's what psychology tells you, right? Beginnings, when kids are young, the impressions you get there, it's for a lifetime. Everything, it's all about youth. And it's true. Beginnings are everything. That's why Rosh Hashanah, everything we have it sweet, because that's a beginning. Motzei Shabbat, you should smile, right? Beginnings are everything. And that's the reason why Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai and his son, because that's a new beginning. It was a new beginning for Judaism. When they came out of the beginnings have to be the most pure that is possible. Because that sets the tone. And the beginnings is a chinuch to our kids. We have to ensure that you have to realize the kids are not ours. The kids are a picadon, it's a deposit that Hashem gives us this precious. And if we don't give them that pure beginning, we are like stealing from Hashem. It's me'ilah. Right? We have a big responsibility to make sure that this kid's beginning is the purest that it could be. Once they have that foundation, yes, they're going to give them that solid foundation. They're going to go to college, they're going to be ready. But if you send them to those kind of environments unprepared, it's our responsibility that we didn't do our job right. We have to make sure what it takes to give those beautiful neshamot, right? To give them a solid beginning. Beginnings are everything. Hechacham einav berosho. This is something that we learn from Rabbi Akiva and Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. I think that's the reason why Hashem had to do that. What's the message for us? They went 12 years in the cave, and then they came out and they started Judaism, right? The message is for us. We need, right, those caves for that period of time to give our kids that kind of environment, that it's solid. First of all, this technology is a big danger, and above that, we have to create for the kids that in a house there has to be shalom bayit, the proper relationship between husband and wife, right? This is big. Otherwise, the kids are going to have problems, right? I beg parents that they have, every couple, they have ups and downs. In front of the kids, don't have respect for each other. Let the kids only see love and respect. You have fights, take it to the bedroom or wherever it is, right? But you see, Anatoly Shransky, right? He was, for years in Russia and then became Israeli prime minister. He wrote a book. I read his book. So he says, after I came out of Russia, they asked him, how did you turn out to be normal after he was for 15 years in isolation? 15 years. They asked him, how did you do it? So he said, all these years I was going back home, and the home was so beautiful. The relationship with my parents, it was peaceful. Now it's Shabbat. He said, that gave me the strength. Read his book, right? Read his book. Beginnings are everything. Hechacham einav berosho. It's our duty to provide our kids, children, grandchildren, that pure beginning, right? Technology, it's a big danger. It's a big danger. I'm telling you, secular circles are out there to make sure that to protect the kids. Forget about the religious schools, right? That's one thing. And another area is to make sure that in our homes, right, there is shalom bayit, there is that what kids see is love and respect. Love and respect between the parents. When you create such an environment, then we are sure, Be'ezrat Hashem, that that we are giving the kids what we owe them. We don't just owe them a smile as we learned, we also owe them to give them that genesis, that beginning, that bereshit, to be solid, and Be'ezrat Hashem, the zechut of Reb Shimon Bar Yochai, the zechut of his son, and all the years that they, spent in that cave in isolation, right? There's zechut we should, Be'ezrat Hashem, this light that is going to start tomorrow. We said in Lag BaOmer, the lights change, right? It's the light of Torah Kedusha. Now we are towards Kabbalat Torah, would illuminate all our homes, and we should have nachat shel emet, all your children, amen, Ken Yirtzeh.